Hey y'all, today we are going to be talking about the 5 questions that you need to ask yourself before moving to East Cobb, Georgia. Now, super brief overview because I know you want to get into the questions, but East Cobb is an unincorporated area in Cobb County, Georgia that sits just northwest of the city of Atlanta. It's bordered by Marietta on the west side, and then the Chattahoochee River on the southeast, and Roswell kind of on the northeast section of the area. Depending on where you look, the population estimates are going to be a little bit different, but it's sitting probably somewhere in the range of 170,000 to 220,000 people. In fact, if East Cobb was incorporated as a city, it would be the second largest city in the metro area behind Atlanta itself. So it's obviously a popular destination for individuals and family, but why is that? Well, we're going to get into that in the answers to these 5 questions today, and we're going to start with number 1, and that is, are public school grades important to you and your family? Now, as a real estate agent here in the state of Georgia, I can't give my personal opinions on different schools because that would get into steering laws and fair housing laws. We don't want to touch that. So what we are going to do is talk about the school ratings on greatschools.org. Now, it's important to realize that these are not all-encompassing. These are not perfect ratings from these websites. What they do is they take test grades and improvements to test grades over time, as well as suspension rates and various other factors, and combine it into one grade. It does not tell you the full picture of what these schools look like, so I do recommend you do a little bit more research yourself, but these public school grades can be a great place to start. Now, East Cobb has 6 different high schools in its area. On the Marietta side, we're going to be looking at Kell, Sprayberry, and Wheeler high schools. And on the Roswell side, we're going to have Pope, Lassiter, and Walton high schools. Now, each of the 3 on the Marietta side, on the west side of East Cobb, are going to be rated 7 out of 10 on greatschools.org, which are good rankings in their own rights. But most families who are moving to East Cobb are looking for some of the top rated schools in the area, and that's going to be found on the east side of East Cobb towards Roswell, and that is Pope, Lassiter, and Walton high schools. Now, each of these 3 schools are rated 10 out of 10 on greatschools.org and are ranked some of the top in the state as well as nationally. So that is a great appeal to families who are looking for some of the top rated schools in the area. That's why a lot of families have made the move to East Cobb to be in some of those very highly rated school districts. Now, when we look at some of the feeder schools, both at the middle school and an elementary school level, we see very high ratings as well. A lot of them are ranked in the 8 to 10 out of 10 rankings. So when you move to East Cobb, Georgia, you realize that you have a baseline of good schools in the area, and at the peak, you have some of the top schools in the state. And that's a reason that a lot of families have chosen East Cobb to move to. So if public school grades are important to you, then East Cobb should be near the top of your list for having some of the top rated schools in the state. Now, question number 2 is, how close do you want to be to the city of Atlanta? East Cobb is situated pretty much just northwest of the perimeter, which is a ring road that goes around the city of Atlanta and kind of defines what is inside the city of Atlanta and what is outside the city of Atlanta. It's not perfect. There are some suburbs that are their own separate cities within the perimeter, but a lot of the locals like to differentiate between cities that are inside the perimeter and outside the perimeter. Now, because East Cobb sits along I-75, which goes into the heart of the city, and really close to I-285 that goes around the city, your access to the city of Atlanta is going to be some of the best for living outside the perimeter. Without factoring in rush hour traffic, you're going to be looking at 20 to 23 minutes to get from East Cobb into downtown Atlanta, depending on where you are in the area, and then maybe 30 to 35 minutes again, depending on where you are in East Cobb. Now, make sure you factor in traffic because that is one of Atlanta's calling cards, but for the most part, if you are driving into the city, downtown Atlanta, if you're going to the airport, then you're gonna have better access than most other cities that are outside the perimeter. So if you're working in Buckhead or downtown, Midtown, and you don't want that city living experience, you want to be out in the suburbs, it really isn't gonna get much better access than East Cobb. Now, I know some of you prefer to live far outside of the city. You like to have long drives out to the country. That's not going to be the case here in East Cobb. Again, we're right outside of the city, outside the perimeter of Atlanta. So if you're looking for something that is out in the sticks, you want an hour, hour and a half to get outside the city, outside of all that craziness, then maybe you're going to look at somewhere like Buford, Flowery Branch, Peachtree City. You're not going to find that here in East Cobb. Now, the third question that you should ask yourself when considering moving to East Cobb is, what level of amenities do you want in a city that you live in? East Cobb has a ton of awesome amenities in the city, from parks like East Cobb Park and Sewell Mill Park, Terrell Mill Park, lots of baseball and soccer fields throughout the area. If you're into shopping, they have the Avenue at East Cobb and several other strip mall options as well. And if healthcare is important to you, we have some of the best healthcare in the area with the Wellstar Health Building, as well as Kennestone Wellstar Hospital, among other options. In addition to that, we have access to the Chattahoochee River with lots of hiking trails along there, and even a ton of hiking and biking trails along all the creeks that come into East Cobb off of the Chattahoochee River. And that's all in addition to the schools that we've already talked about. So if you're looking for a level of amenities that will meet your day-to-day needs, East Cobb has got you covered in that. What East Cobb doesn't have is a walkable downtown area. Now you do have access to two great options with downtown Roswell and Marietta Square pretty nearby. But if you like that city living aspect where you have a walkable downtown, you have a lot of nightlife, East Cobb is not gonna provide that for you. So you're gonna get a lot of your day-to-day needs with parks and walking trails, schools, shopping, tons of great local restaurants and healthcare. But again, if it is important to you to have that nightlife and a walkable downtown core, you're not gonna find that in East Cobb. Again, you have pretty easy access to it, but it's not gonna be something you have in the area you live in. Now, the fourth question that you need to ask yourself before moving to East Cobb is how much are you willing to pay for a home in the city that you live in? Now, as of the time of this recording, we are May 2025. Over the last 3 months, the average for a detached single-family home is in the low to mid 600s. Now, there are homes as low as the mid 300s on the market here in East Cobb. I would recommend for a reliable starter option to at least consider budgeting for low to mid 400s to get into East Cobb. Now I'd consider budgeting even higher if you're looking to get into those Pope, Lassiter, and Walton high school districts. That average is gonna go up in those districts as well, but you are gonna be looking at an average of roughly $620,000 to $630,000 for your average home here in East Cobb. Now the real estate in East Cobb has quite a large variety. I was just driving through one of the communities for a client of mine recently in Indian Hills, and you have a variety from brand new built mansions to older, smaller homes with large backyards. So we are gonna have quite a variety of homes here in East Cobb, and you are gonna expect to pay slightly more than some of the cities in the immediate area like Marietta, Smyrna, and Woodstock. That being said, the average home is gonna be slightly less expensive than some of those other really desirable suburbs like Alpharetta, Johns Creek, and Milton. So it can be a great middle ground for families who can afford to get into the 600s and up. And if you are looking for your dream home, there is no shortage of $1 million plus mansions in the area. This can be a fantastic area if you are looking for luxury homes as well. And then as a bonus, in Cobb County, there are some of the lower property tax rates in the entire Metro Atlanta area. And in addition to that, there is a homestead exemption here in East Cobb as well that you can take advantage of. So if you are actually living in the home rather than buying it and renting it out, you can apply for a homestead exemption and pay even less property taxes than the already low property taxes that Cobb County offers. So the homes are affordable for what you get, especially being in such a fantastic and desirable location, and the property taxes are some of the most reasonable in the area. Now, before we get to number 5 and the bonus that we have coming your way, I just wanted to let you know that I am a local real estate agent who did move to the North Atlanta area. So if that's something that you're considering doing, I have been through it all before, and now I get to help guide my clients to do the same. So all my information is in the description. Feel free to reach out and we can get you started on that home ownership process here in Metro Atlanta. And if you're not quite ready to move yet, then I would appreciate a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel as well. We are going to put out as much valuable content as we can here on the channel, so make sure you stay subscribed so you don't miss a video. Now, the 5th question that you need to ask yourself before moving to East Cobb, Georgia is, are you looking for a safe, family-friendly suburban community? Again, as we mentioned before, if you are looking for city living with lots of nightlife, a walkable downtown, and all the amenities that might come with that, then East Cobb is not gonna be the area for you. But rather, if you'd prefer a nice, quiet suburban area where you see lots of families and kids going for bike rides, where your community gets to host local baseball and soccer games instead of parades and demonstrations, then East Cobb might be the area that you're looking for. It has a great family-friendly vibe, and for the same reason I can't give my personal feelings about schools, I can't give my personal feeling about crime and safety, but if you do take a look at the local police websites, they can show you that East Cobb not only has lower crime rates than the national average, but also lower crime rates than the average in surrounding Cobb County. I was just out golfing with somebody the other day who lives in East Cobb, and he said that he's never had an issue with security and feeling safe in his neighborhood, and you're gonna find that throughout the East Cobb area. Now, I did promise you a bonus 6th question that you need to ask yourself before moving to East Cobb, and that is, do you ever plan on going to Braves games? Now, a handful of years ago, the Braves moved from downtown Atlanta out to Cobb County. They built a large multi-use district around the new stadium with tons of restaurants and retail, with experiences like escape rooms and VR, arcades, all that kind of stuff. And that's all found at the Battery Atlanta. Now, technically the Battery sits in Atlanta, but I know Marietta and Smyrna and East Cobb all feel that they have a claim to it being just outside of the area. So whether you want to be a season ticket holder, just get out to a handful of games, or just enjoy the atmosphere while you go out to grab a bite to eat and a night out with some friends. Having such easy access to the Battery is definitely a plus if you're going to be living in East Cobb. So what do you think? Is East Cobb the city for you? If so, reach out to the information in the description and we can get you started on the right path. If not, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can learn about other cities in the Atlanta metro area that might be a better fit. And I will see y'all later.